It took exactly $340,000 in fraudulent charges, 7 credit cards I never opened, and a federal investigation for me to realize that my identical twin sister Rachel had been systematically stealing my identity for 12 years. And the worst part? She did it so perfectly that even I started questioning which one of us was real. But let me start from the beginning. And my name is Rebecca. Or at least, I think it is. After everything that's happened, sometimes I'm not even sure anymore. That's what identity theft does to you when it's done by someone who shares your exact DNA, your exact face, your exact everything. Rachel and I are identical twins. And I mean identical. Same height, same weight, same hair color, same eye color, same birthmark on our left shoulder blade. The only way our parents could tell us apart as babies was by painting one of Rachel's toenails pink. Even we couldn't tell ourselves apart in photos sometimes. Growing up, being a twin was amazing. We had our own language, finished each other's sentences, knew what the other was thinking without saying a word. That creepy twin telepathy thing people always talk about? We had it. If Rachel fell and scraped her knee, mine would sting. If I had a nightmare, she'd wake up crying. We were inseparable. Until we weren't. High school changed everything. Or maybe high school just revealed what was always there, lurking beneath the surface. The competition, the resentment, the desperate need to be seen as individuals instead of the twins. It started small. Rachel would borrow my clothes without asking, wear my jewelry, use my makeup. Normal sister stuff, right? Except she'd wear my favorite jacket on a date and come back with it reeking of cigarette smoke and cheap cologne. She'd use me expensive foundation and leave the bottle empty. She'd take my grandmother's necklace, the one specifically left to me in the will, and forget to give it back. Mom always took her side. You two share everything. That's what twins do. Stop being so selfish, Rebecca. Selfish. That word followed me around like a shadow. If I complained about Rachel taking my things, I was selfish. If I wanted to join a different club than her, I was selfish. If I wanted my own identity separate from being one of the twins, I was selfish. So I stopped complaining. Stopped fighting. Let Rachel blur the lines between us because it was easier than constant conflict. That was my first mistake. When we turned 16, we got our driver's licenses. Same DMV, same day, same photo session. We even wore the same outfit because Mom thought it would be cute. The photos were literally identical. You could swap our licenses and no one would know the difference. Rachel thought this was hilarious. She'd take my license sometimes just to prove she could use it anywhere. She'd buy cigarettes with my ID at gas stations while I was at home studying. She'd get into clubs using my license while hers stayed safely in her wallet. It's not a big deal, she'd say when I confronted her. We're the same person basically. What's yours is mine. But we weren't the same person. I was getting straight A's, working part-time at a bookstore, saving money for college. Rachel was partying, barely passing her classes, spending money as fast as she could get it. Our parents didn't see the difference. To them, we were still the twins. One entity split into two bodies. They couldn't understand why I wanted to go to a college across the country, while Rachel wanted to stay local. Why I wanted to study environmental science, while Rachel wanted to do cosmetology. Why I wanted separate bedrooms, separate lives, separate identities. You'll regret leaving your sister, Mom said when I got accepted to Berkeley. Twins need each other. You're abandoning your other half. I went anyway. Best decision I ever made. Or so I thought. College was freedom. For the first time in my life, I was just Rebecca, not one of the twins. Not Rachel's sister. Just me. It made friends who didn't know I had a twin. Joined clubs, went to parties, dated guys who only knew my face, my name, mysteried, and I loved it. Loved being singular. Loved not having to share everything. Loved having an identity that was completely mine. Rachel hated it. She called constantly those first few months. Crying, saying she missed me, saying she felt incomplete without me, that I felt guilty, but also relieved. For once, I was the one moving forward while she stayed behind. She dropped out of community college after one semester. Started working at a salon, doing hair and nails. Mom said she was depressed without me, that I'd broken something fundamental by leaving, that I sent money sometimes. Felt obligated to help even though I was barely scraping by myself. College is expensive. I was working 2 jobs, taking out student loans, eating ramen for dinner most nights. But Rachel was my twin, my other half. I couldn't just abandon her completely. That was my second mistake. Weird things started happening during my sophomore year. Small things at first. A credit card statement arrived at my apartment for a card I didn't remember opening. The balance was only $300, charges from stores in our hometown. I figured I'd opened it and forgotten, paid it off, didn't think much about it, then another statement. Different card, bigger balance. Charges I definitely didn't make. A coach purse, expensive dinners, a weekend at a casino hotel. $1,500 that I called the credit card company. Explained there must be a mistake. They said the card was opened online using my social security number, my address, my information. The charges have been made in person at various locations in Oregon, where I'd grown up, where Rachel still lived. Are you sure you didn't open this card? The representative asked. I wasn't sure. That was the problem. College was a blur of classes and work and sleep deprivation. Maybe I had opened it during some late-night online shopping session and forgotten. I disputed the charges. They investigated. Most of them got reversed. I thought that was the end of IT. IT wasn't. Over the next 2 years, more cards appeared. More charges. A car loan for a vehicle I'd never seen. A lease on an apartment I'd never lived in. Each time I'd dispute it, explain it wasn't me, go through the whole process. Each time I'd wonder if I was losing me mind. If maybe I was doing these things during blackout episodes or something that my credit score tanked. Dropped from 720 to 480 in less than a year. I couldn't understand why. I was paying my bills, living frugally, doing everything right. But according to my credit report, I was a financial disaster. I couldn't get approved for anything. Not a better apartment, not a car loan, not even a store credit card. I was basically financially blacklisted at 20 years old. Rachel, meanwhile, seemed to be thriving. Her Instagram was full of expensive clothes, fancy dinners, weekend trips to Vegas and San Francisco. She'd started dating this guy Marcus who had a good job in tech. They lived together in a nice apartment, drove a new Lexus, looked like the perfect couple. I'm so happy for you, I told her during one of our increasingly rare phone calls. You really turned things around. Thanks, Becca. Yeah, things are good. Marcus takes care of me, you know? He says I deserve nice things. I was jealous. Ashamed to admit it, but I was. Here I was struggling, working myself to death, drowning in student loans and mysterious debt, while my twin sister was living her best life. Life isn't fair, I told myself. Some people just get lucky that I graduated Berkeley with honors. Got a good job at an environmental nonprofit in San Francisco. The salary wasn't amazing, but it was meaningful work and I loved it. Finally felt like I was building the life I wanted. That I tried to move to a better apartment. Got rejected. My credit score was still destroyed. I tried to lease a car. Rejected. I tried to pen a simple checking account at a new bank. Rejected. Something was very, very wrong. That I pulled my full credit report. Paid for the detailed version that shows everything. And that's when I saw it. The full scope of what was happening. 17 credit cards in my name. 9 loans. 4 apartments. 2 car leases. 1 mortgage application that had been denied. Thank God. Total debt. $340,000 that I couldn't breathe. Literally felt like I was having a heart attack right there at my desk. $340,000. That was more than my college loans. More than I'd make in 5 years at my current salary. It was impossible. I called the credit bureaus immediately. Explained there was obviously fraud. These weren't my accounts. I'd never opened them. Someone had stolen my identity. Do you have a police report? They asked and I didn't. Because I hadn't known to file one. Because I'd been disputing individual charges, not seeing the bigger picture. I filed a police report that day. Went to the station, talked to a detective who looked bored and overworked. Told him my whole history. He took notes, gave me a case number, said they'd investigate. Any idea who might have stolen your identity? He asked. No, I said. Because I genuinely didn't. Who could access all my information? My social security number, my mother's maiden name, my date of birth, all the security questions that are supposed to protect you. Usually it's someone close to you, he said. Family member, ex-boyfriend, roommate. Someone who knows your details. Family member. The words echoed in my head as I left the station. No, it couldn't be. Could it? I called Rachel that night. Casual, just checking in. Asked about her job, her life, her apartment. Oh, actually we moved, she said. Got a bigger place. 2 bedrooms, nice view. Marcus got a raise, so we upgraded. That's great. Where? She gave me an address. I wrote it down. After we hung up, I checked my credit report again. Looked at the most recent apartment lease in my name. Same address. My heart stopped. Actually stopped beating for a second. Because it still didn't make sense. Rachel had her own identity. Her own social security number. Her own credit. Why would she need mine? Unless her own credit was destroyed. Unless she couldn't get approved for anything under her own name, that I started digging. Created a spreadsheet. Listed every fraudulent account, every date it was opened, every location of charges. Patterns emerged. The accounts were all opened when I was busy with finals or work projects, when Rachel knew I wouldn't be checking my credit. The charges were all in Oregon or California, places Rachel lived or visited. The timing lined up with her Instagram post showing expensive purchases. That Lexus she drove? Leased in my name. The apartment? Leased in my name. The Coach bags, the designer shoes, the fancy dinners? All charged to cards in my name. My twin sister had been stealing my identity for years. Systematically, deliberately, perfectly, that I felt sick. Betrayed on a level I didn't know was possible. This wasn't a stranger stealing my credit card number. This was my other half, the person who'd shared a womb with me, who I trusted more than anyone, deliberately destroying my financial Afido build her own perfect Instagram existence. I confronted her. Called her, my hands shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. Rachel, we need to talk. What's up? She sounded cheerful, unbothered. I pulled my credit report. There are accounts I didn't open. Charges I didn't make. Do you know anything about that? Silence. Long, heavy silence. Rachel? I don't know what you're talking about.
Her voice had changed. Cold now.
Defensive. There's an apartment lease in my name. At your address. The address where you live. That's impossible. You must be reading it wrong. I'm not reading it wrong. Rachel, if you're in trouble, if you needed help, why didn't you just ask me? Because you left. The words exploded out of her. You abandoned me, moved across the country, built this perfect life for yourself while I was stuck here. You always got everything. The good grades, the scholarships, the opportunities. So yeah, I used your credit sometimes.
So what?
We're twins. What's yours is mine. That's how it's always been. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. That's not how it works. That's fraud, Rachel. That's a crime. Oh, please. Like, anyone can tell us apart. I am you. You are me. We're the same person. We're not the same person. We've never been the same person. Yes, we are. She was yelling now. Do you know what it's like living in your shadow? Everyone always comparing us. Rachel, why can't you be more like Rebecca? Rebecca is so smart, so responsible, so perfect. I got tired of being the disappointment. Soy became you. And guess what? Being you is amazing.
People respect me.
Marcus loves me. I have a good life. The life you should have shared with me. By destroying my credit? By stealing my identity? Rachel, I can't get approved for anything. I can't rent an apartment. I can't buy a car. You've ruined my financial life. You'll recover. You're smart, remember? You always figure things out. I needed this more than you. The narcissism, the complete lack of remorse, it was terrifying. This wasn't the sister I grew up with. Or maybe it was, and I'd just never seen it clearly before. I'm going to the police, I said. I already filed a report. They're investigating. You wouldn't. But her voice wavered. I already did. It's out of my hands now, Rachel. This is fraud. Identity theft. You could go to prison. She hung up. I tried calling back. She didn't answer. I texted. Nothing. I called Mom. Mom, I need to talk to you about Rachel. What did you do now, Rebecca?
Already blaming me.
Always blaming me. I didn't do anything. Rachel has been stealing my identity, using my social security number to open credit cards, and that's ridiculous. Rachel wouldn't do that. Mom, I have proof. Bank statements, credit reports, police reports. She admitted it to me on the phone. You're lying. You've always been jealous of Rachel. Ever since you left, you've been trying to make her look bad. I'm not lying. Mom, please, you need to listen. I don't need to listen to anything. You abandoned your family. Now you're making up stories to hurt your sister. I won't stand for it. She hung up too. Both of them just gone. Shutting me out because the truth was too uncomfortable. I felt more alone than I'd ever felt in my life. The detective called a week later. They'd investigated. Found evidence. Wanted to move forward with charges. We pulled security footage from several locations where purchases were made on your credit cards, he explained. The woman in the footage looks exactly like you. But we cross-referenced the dates with your work records, your location data from your phone. You were in San Francisco every time these charges were made in Oregon. You have alibis for everything. It's my twin sister, I said. We're identical. She's been using my identity because we look exactly alike. That's actually genius, he said, and I could hear the grudging admiration in his voice. Evil, but genius. No one would question it because she literally is you, physically. Every ID check would pass. Every security measure would approve it. She saw you in every way except legally. Can you arrest her? We're building a case. But Rebecca, I have to warn you, this is going to get messy. She's your sister. Your family is going to be involved. This might tear your family apart. She already did that when she stole my identity. They arrested Rachel 2 weeks later, at her apartment, the one leased in my name, in front of Marcus, who had no idea his girlfriend was living a lie. She called me from jail, crying, begging me to drop the charges. Becca, please. I made a mistake. I'll pay it all back. I'll fix everything. Just don't let them prosecute me. I can't go to prison. I can't. You should have thought about that before you stole $340,000 from me. We're sisters. We're twins. You're supposed to protect me. And you were supposed to not ruin my life. I hung up, blocked her number, blocked Mom's number too when she started leaving vicious voicemails about how I was destroying the family. The case went to trial. Federal court, because identity theft crossed state lines. Rachel's lawyer tried to argue that it was a misunderstanding between twins who'd always shared everything, that there was no malicious intent, that Rachel genuinely believed she had permission to use my identity because of our unique twin bond. The prosecutor destroyed that argument, showed evidence of Rachel deliberately hiding her actions, of her using my information to open accounts she knew I didn't know about, of her intercepting credit card statements so I wouldn't find out, of her coaching Marcus to lie about the apartment lease. Marcus testified against her. Turned out he'd had no idea she was using my identity. Thought she was just Rebecca, working a good job in San Francisco, commuting on weekends. When he found out the truth, he'd been horrified. Left her immediately. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Found her guilty on 12 counts of identity theft, fraud, and related charges. The judge sentenced her to 8 years in federal prison. 8 years. My twin sister would spend 8 years behind bars because she couldn't stand not being me. Mom still blames me. Hasn't spoken to me in 2 years. Says I destroyed Rachel's life over money. That blood is supposed to be thicker than water. That I should have just let it go, absorbed the debt, protected my sister. But here's the thing. Rachel didn't just steal my money.
She stole me.
My name, my identity, my life. She wanted to erase the line between us so completely that even I wouldn't know who I was anymore, and she almost succeeded. That I spent months after the trial in therapy, working through the trauma, learning to rebuild my sense of self, learning that I was allowed to be separate from my twin, that I was allowed to have boundaries, that I was allowed to exist as an individual. It took 3 years to clean up my credit. 3 years of disputes, police reports, court documents, certified letters to every credit bureau and financial institution. 3 years of proving over and over that I was the victim, not the perpetrator. My credit score finally hit 750 last month. I cried when I saw it. Actual tears of relief. I could finally move forward. Finally build the life I'd been working toward all along. That I bought a car last week. A used Honda Civic, nothing fancy. But it's mine. Leased under my name. With my credit. With no hidden fraud lurking underneath. I cried again when I signed the papers. I'm moving to a new apartment next month. 1 bedroom, great location, affordable rent. The landlord approved my application without hesitation. No red flags. No mysterious debts. Just me and my actual credit history. That I still think about Rachel sometimes. Wonder what she's doing in prison. If she's learned anything. If she regrets it. If she even understands why what she did was wrong. Probably not. Narcissists rarely do. I got a letter from her last month. The first communication in 2 years. She's up for early release in 3 years with good behavior. Wants to know if I'll write a letter supporting her parole. That I wrote back. 1 sentence. No. That's all she deserves. 1 word. 1 boundary. 1 final assertion that I am not her. She is not me, and we are not the same person. I changed my name legally last year. Not my last name, but my first. I'm not Rebecca anymore. I'm Becca. Different enough that when I introduce myself, people don't immediately think of my twin. Different enough that I can finally separate myself from her completely. I'm Becca. Not one of the twins. Not Rachel's sister. Not the victim of identity theft. Just Becca. A person with my own life, my own identity, my own future. And that future? It's finally mine. That I joined a support group for identity theft victims. Turns out there are a lot of us. People whose lives were destroyed by strangers, by family members, by people they trusted. We meet once a month, share stories, offer advice, remind each other that we're not crazy, that what happened to us was real and wrong and not our fault. 1 guy, David, had his identity stolen by his father. Used his son's social security number to open utility accounts, take out loans, avoid paying taxes. The son didn't find out until he tried to buy his first house at 25 and discovered he had a 30-year financial history of missed payments and defaults. A woman, Patricia, had her identity stolen by her ex-husband during their divorce. He opened accounts in her name, charged them to the max, then disappeared. She spent 10 years trying to prove it wasn't her while raising 3 kids alone. An older man, Robert, had his identity stolen by a coworker who had access to HR files. Lost his retirement savings, his home, everything. Spent his 70s working to pay off debts he didn't create. We all have the same story, in different variations. Someone we trusted, or someone with access, decided our identity was worth more to them than their relationship with us. Decided we were expendable in their quest for money or comfort or whatever they were seeking. The support group saved me. Made me realize I wasn't alone. That identity theft isn't just about money. It's about violation. About having the core of who you are stripped away and used without permission. About being erased. I'm a speaker now. I travel to colleges and community centers, talk about identity theft and twin dynamics, and the importance of boundaries. I tell my story. Watch people's faces change from curiosity to horror as they realize how easily it could happen. Taught him. Protect your information, I tell them. Even from family, especially from family, because the people closest to you have the most access to destroy you. I wrote a book about my experience. It's being published next spring. The Other Me, how my twin sister stole my identity and how I got it back. My therapist says it's good closure. A way to take ownership of my story. Rachel will probably read it in prison. Probably get angry. Probably feel victimized all over again. But that's not my problem anymore. Her feelings, her reactions, her life is not my responsibility. I'm dating someone now. His name is Aaron. He's a teacher, kind and stable and completely unconnected to my past. I told him about Rachel on our 3rd date. Figured he deserved to know what he was getting into. That I have an identical twin in prison for stealing my identity. That my family is fractured beyond repair. That I have trust issues and boundary issues and a complicated relationship with my own face. He listened to the whole story. Then he said, "That must have been terrifying. I'm sorry you went through that. Not, why didn't you just let it go? Not, but she's your sister." Just simple, direct empathy that I might love him. It's too early to say for sure. But he makes me feel safe. Like I can be Becca, just Becca, without worrying about someone trying to steal that from me. That I cut my hair last month. Pixie cut. Something I've wanted to do for years but never did because Rachel always kept her hair long. Now it's short and edgy and completely different from how she looks. When I see myself in the mirror, I see only me. Not her. Not us. Just me. It's been 5 years since I discovered the full extent of Rachel's fraud. 5 years of legal battles, credit repair, therapy, and healing. 5 years of learning who I am when I'm not defined by being a twin, that I'm stronger now. Smarter. More cautious, but also more confident. I know my worth. I know my identity. And I know that Noon, not even someone who shares my DNA, has the right to take that from me. Sometimes I wonder what our lives would have been like if Rachel had just been herself. If she'd embraced being her own person instead of trying to become me. If she'd built her own life instead of stealing mine. But that's the thing about narcissists. They don't want their own life. They want yours. Because in their minds, your life is always better, always easier, always more valuable than their own. Rachel saw my success not as inspiration but as theft. In her twisted logic, I'd stolen the life that should have been hers. Saw stealing my identity wasn't a crime. It was justice. Taking back what she believed was rightfully hers. She was wrong. But I don't think she'll ever understand that. I got a Christmas card from an old friend last year. Inside was a photo of her and her family, including her twin toddler daughters. Identical twins, matching outfits, identical smiles. That I looked at that photo for a long time, wondering if those girls would grow up loving their twin bond or resenting it. If they'd celebrate their similarity or fight for individuality. If one would try to erase the line between them and the other would have to fight to maintain it. That I hope they find balance. I hope they learn early what I learned too late. That being a twin doesn't mean being the same person. That you can love your sibling while maintaining boundaries. That shared DNA doesn't give anyone the right to your identity. I wrote a letter to my friend. Told her to make sure each twin has their own bank accounts, their own passwords, their own protected space. To teach them about boundaries and consent and individual identity. To never tell them, what's yours is hers, or you should share everything. She wrote back thanking me. Said she'd never thought about it that way. That she'd make sure her daughters grew up knowing they were individuals who happened to be twins, not a single unit split into 2 bodies. Maybe that's my legacy. Not the book or the speaking engagements or the court case, but planting seeds of awareness. Helping other twins, other families, avoid the nightmare I lived through. Rachel gets out in 3 more years. I've already planned what I'll do. Change my phone number. Move to a new city. Maybe change my name again. This time my last name too. Start completely fresh, where no one knows I have a twin. That I ask that running away? Maybe. But it's also self-preservation. Because I know Rachel. I know how she thinks. And I know that 3 years in prison won't have changed her. She'll come out still believing she was the victim. Still believing I owe her something. Still unable to see me as separate from her. I won't give her the chance to try again. Won't give her any access to my life, my information, my identity. She had her chance. She blew it. Now she gets nothing. That might sound harsh.
Cold.
Unforgiving. But identity theft isn't something you forgive. It's not a mistake or a bad decision. It's deliberate, sustained violation of another person's existence. Rachel didn't just steal my money. She tried to steal me, my essence, myself. And I will never let anyone do that to me again. I'm Becca. I'm 28 years old. I'm an environmental advocate, a survivor, an author, a girlfriend, a friend. I like hiking and true crime podcasts and chocolate ice cream. I'm terrible at math and good at public speaking. I cry at sad movies and laugh too loud at jokes. I'm me. Fully, completely, unapologetically me. Not half of a twin. Not someone's shadow. Not a stolen identity. Just me. And that's enough. That's more than enough. That's everything.